about the divine that doesn't come from some sort of experience. So it's, you know, so you're trying to, when you're writing, you should try to, for all you writers out there, writing from is the difference from writing about. You know, so.
Thank you.
Sky, sorry. You go the first.
One of the things that most strikes me about your writing is the emphasis on the song. And the other thing is this retrieving the methodology, perhaps, of finding the song by going into the Katabatic journey, right? That whole shamanic underworld journey and bringing back that sound or that song or the sound carrying you along on that journey and so forth. But it seems to me that in our culture, it's extremely difficult to get away from the cacophony of sound in order to enter the silence from which these sounds can be found. So how do you think that we who are kind of on your side of this argument, how can we retrieve these songs and how can we get them through the cacophony in order to make any difference at all?
Stillness. The only thing is some variant of stillness. For the Greeks, it would be, you know, they call it hezekiah. It's absolute stillness, because that's where because that stillness is the song. That's still, in fact, in the Greek pantheon, the early Greek pantheons, silence was a goddess. So that silence, that stillness, is the divine. And that stillness permeates this whole thing, and you could even feel traces of it right now. The stillness, that aspect of the divine, permeates everything, because we're always coming from it. Can never be without it. You know, and that's everyone's. Like I said, I'm throwing that back at everyone. That everyone's journey is to try to figure out that if you're called to do that, because you're right. Otherwise, it's just cacophony. It's news. It's everything to distract you. It's everything to take you out of your connection to the divine, and that may even be on purpose.
There seems to be such a big generational issue.
Well, you know, and I think there are a lot of young people who are looking to other cultures and looking to, you know, other things to bolster that, because they're not finding that here, and they're trying to form community, and they're out there swinging, you know. But I don't see, you know, as far as Western culture is concerned, you know, I think it's irredeemable. I think we're just going to, you know, either fall off the cliff quickly or slowly. Behind Allegra.
I was wondering, what is your understanding of sacred geometry, and if you've ever had a moment that you've experienced it?
Yeah, experience sacred. Yeah, we had a study group here. There's one of the founders of it sitting in the front row, and a number of people here I think were involved in it. But the best example I give you is a place like Chartres Cathedral, which is to me the high point of of Western architecture, certainly maybe Western art. So sacred geometry, there's certain proportions and principles that are built into the design of the cathedral, right? And you know, the pyramids, you know, the Parthenon, you know, mosques in the Ottoman mosques in Istanbul, everywhere, right? So there's certain, and they can take these proportions and they can just do anything with them. You know, that's the art of the architect. So, but when you're in a place like Chartres Cathedral, which we're lucky to visit twice, there's an experience being there. All right, just by being there, you know, you, lack of another way of saying it, you vibrate differently than you do outside the door. All right, it's so structured because of oneness, because the fact is that our bodies are not just circumscribed to, you know, what's within the skin, but our bodies incorporate all of our experience, right?
Yeah.
So there's a oneness with everything. And because there is a oneness with everything, you go into a place like that and you resonate with the sacred qualities of that place. And then you are thus lifted from that. The same way if you go to Target, you resonate with that architecture, right? And it's a whole different experience.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause
So that's what sacred geometry is about.
I've been, for example, at the Asheville Mall, and all of a sudden I started feeling a very materialistic energy and like envy coming from that place. You know,
Right.
it just felt very artificial and like just people who wanted to, more materialistic. And I've never been in any one of these sacred buildings, but I can only imagine what that would be
Well,
like.
go. They're there, and while they're still standing, go.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
But you can go to the Basilica right here.
The Basilica's not. The Basilica's got a nice vibe to it.
Oh, really?
You know, it's just down the block. It's got this incredible. I mean, it's designed by somebody who probably knew sacred geometry principles, Gustavino.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
Allegra.
Anybody who's been around small children probably recognizes that they have infinite questions. But working with teenagers, I discovered that they had lost their questions, that they wouldn't admit that they had any questions, that questions were somehow revealing lack within themselves.
Mm.
Can you discuss your transition back into a questioning?
Yeah. Well, you know, I went to a Catholic school in New York City, and there were 50 kids to a class run by nuns who were not terribly well educated. It was about discipline. If I had a class of 50, you know, inner city kids, what else are you going to do, right? So, you know, I really, and because, you know, I was a little ahead of the curve, once I got there, you know, so I was reading, like I said, like I bragged earlier, I was reading at 3, you know, and so I go into school and they're doing the alphabet. So I really got bored, you know, and then because I was smart and being intelligent, as President Bush would tell you, is not a good quality, you know, so I would get beaten up, you know, and because I couldn't help myself because I was a smart ass too, you know, so all that went out the window, and so I just skated by. I just, you know, I knew I just had to show up. I skated by. I got through high school, you know, and then it was only really getting to college and then hanging out with some people who, you know, who were really intellectually fierce and interesting and experimental. That certain things were awakened, and then you know, then I decided to move into the English department there, and that was, you know, so that was when I just started really learning again. But I spent, you know, I don't know, 15 years lowering my IQ. Okay, anybody else have anything? I can let you go and thank Malaprops for having this. And if any of you want a signed book, I guess I have a little cubby corner over there. So thank you.